And if it wasn't until uh, Christianity, we heard that word, thou shalt not murder. The
The
covenant.
Ark Covenant. Can you read a little bit of it?
Yeah, so it says declassified documents show that in 1988, the CIA used remote viewing under Project Sunstreak to locate the Ark of the Covenant. One viewer described the container of wood, gold, and silver, with an object that had 6 winged angelical figures that described matched traditionally this depiction of the Ark of the Covenant in the Bible, because it shows you that it has like those wings like that. And that is crazy.
It is nuts.
It's nuts. It's going to guilt the jury and the judge to give him a soft, or the district attorney to give him a soft charge, right? Which, honestly, I know he's a kid, but he is a young adult. He knows better. He's not really getting the damage right now. And this is coming from someone that has been in the situation that I also, and this is what I was talking to my wife about. We as parents need, whether you're black, whether you're Mexican, Puerto Rican, white, Asian, whatever you are, we need to instill and teach. There's a difference between me saying like, hey, don't do this because of this. That's not teaching. Teaching is actually sitting down on your dinner table and teaching them the worth of life.
For the price is good. All right, man. Hey, welcome to the show again, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Man, you went crazy on TikTok, man.
Oh,
You
man.
got my TikTok popping. Like,
I know.
You got a lot of heat.
And I apologize. I mean, I don't apologize for what I said, but I apologize because, I get it. Haters got to hate.
That's fine,
That's just
man.
it.
I use my haters as my elevator. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. Yeah, hate me so much. Please do.
Yeah. Comment down below. Hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe. Hit like and share this content. Today is going to be Thursday of conspiracy.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be.
So put on your tinfoil hats, guys.
Yeah, I don't have mine. I had to make one, but I will definitely next time.
Next time, yeah.
Next time we're going to get
We'll probably make one out of that little bullet thing.
Yeah, we got. Oh, yeah. We got the bullet. Yeah, we got. Oh, Baby Yoda. We put a tinfoil on Baby Yoda.
Yep.
Yeah, we gotta get Baby Yoda here. So, brother, we're gonna talk about of the Ark of the Covenant, the Ark of the Covenant, and then we're gonna talk about also the pyramids.
The pyramids.
Pyramids. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
I mean, when I first heard about it on TikTok, on Instagram, people were talking about there is like a structure below the pyramids. And that kind of blew my mind. Like, what do they? I mean, my first thought was like, what do you mean structure underneath the pyramid?
I know. And see, the thing is, there was hints that, and I still believe this, that in the pyramids we will find a lot of questions that we have answers in there. Like, you ever seen the show? What is it? I think it's in the Discovery Channel where they talk about pyramids and stuff.
Oh yeah, I remember the show. Yeah,
I forgot what it was called, but anyways, it's just so much mystery in there. I mean, you got hieroglyphics where it shows a guy that has like a gun pointing.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and or UFOs or something that looks like a helicopter. I mean, those are like questions like, somebody please explain to me, why is it in the pyramid? I mean, and the other thing too is like, we all knew it. All of us conspiracy junkies, we knew that the pyramid had some type of energy, because you go inside there, it's dark. And obviously in the daytime, it's so dark inside. How were they able to see inside?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and there's no, I was reading an article that there's no residue in the ceiling that, torches leave when you're like, because you would think if they're in there for hours of the day or even at night, they would have torches burning to see, right? If we're thinking They didn't have
Yep.
electricity or some type of
The
energy.
burning oil, whatever. They should
Yeah,
have residue.
it's called soot.
Yep.
That soot would be up on the ceilings. Like if you go to England
Mm-hmm.
and to look at the castles and stuff, there's still soot residue from the torches from the 1300s. So pyramids should have some type of residue on the ceiling, and there's nothing.
Clean.
So, clean.
Yep. I mean, you see one stuff that we were talking about yesterday. We mentioned you see the same hieroglyphics in different parts of the planet.
Yeah, exactly.
They're similar. I mean, they're not like 100% the same, but its resemblance is remarkable. I mean, you could see it is pretty much the same character. Like
Exactly.
the guy with a helmet or the guy with the
Yeah,
helmet
I've
with
seen that
antennas.
yeah, exactly.
And you could see that in like in the desert of California or Nevada, whatever. And then you see it in Ireland. You see it in
And remember, they found one in China,
Yeah.
a pyramid in the forest that was underground.
yeah. And why we always have pyramids? We have pyramids in Mexico. We got pyramids in Egypt. We got pyramids in
And
Where's
I
the other
think
one?
Ecuador too.
Ecuador
right?
too. Yeah, they start discovering pyramids.
And Peru,
Yep.
right? And
Man, Peru is crazy, man. Machu Picchu. You got those like rock formations.
how do they get it up there in the mountains?
How,
You know
how
what I
they
mean?
fuse together, how they fuse the rock together in a shape that is like almost impossible to do today with today's tool, and that is fucking insane.
Yeah, and like there I know I brought some little facts here, but there's some studies that are showing that like the Nile River, right, once had another body of water flowing there, and I believe it was the Grenoble, and I want to kill this, but Grenoble Alps University, that they were saying that they feel that they were using the water as like a hydraulic system to move the blocks, which that answers, or it's a good theory to say that that's how they built the pyramids in Egypt. But what do they do in like what we just talked about, Peru? Where how do they get it up there? How do they, I mean, there's no, they're on mountain hills, that, I'm sure at one point they'd had water, but I don't
Yeah.
think they had water when they built those.
Yeah, I'm still wondering like how they got those pyramids in Mexico, like in the middle of the jungle, like pyramids, and where they get the rocks, where they got the actual stones, because you have a quarry. If you have a stone building, whatever,
Correct.
you have a nearby quarry, you extract the rocks or the quartz, whatever, and you build something, and you will find a quarry
Yeah.
nearby, but there's nothing.
And,
Especially the desert.
yeah,
Like,
especially, yeah.
like where they got the stone from? Because there's no quarries for miles and miles and miles.
And then, yeah, you're right. Where do they get the stones? Yeah. Where do they get the stones? And then, here's the other thing too. And now again, this is my theory. This is what I believe or what I think. And, again, whatever, but, so how old are the pyramids? That's one thing that, there's a number out there's a figure, some say it's like 5,000 years, some say it's millions of years. I've heard many different, but what I believe, and how we were taught about Pangea, where the earth had what was one big continent,
Oh, yeah.
and then that it's separated. Well, I'm a big Christian, and I believe in the Word of God, and I reference it to the one point of history in the Bible where it talks about the Tower of Babel, where it says that the humans talked all in one language, and they were superior in technology, and they were building a structure, and they was saying that they would reach the heavens and be as great as gods, right? And it says that God changed their language, and it disrupted them, right? Now this is all post the ark of the of Noah. So this is before the flood, right? So my belief is that these pyramid structures were probably part of a civilization that existed post the flood of Noah. And I believe that, and there's, you like you said, there's pyramids everywhere, and then there's texts about a society, which there was a rumor about the city of Atlantis and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, nothing's further from the truth. So, between these legends and myths, there's some shred of some truth or something, right?
It has to be.
Has to be, and I believe that post the flood, maybe these structures were all together in Pangea, right? All together. Hence why we have civilization scattered around. Maybe where the Mayans, right? The people that we believe that built those pyramids in Mexico, because it wasn't the Mexicas, which were now known as Aztecs. It was the Mayans, right? And then what happened to them? We knew they existed, but we don't know what happened to them. Like there's a theory that they died out of being inbreds, sleep.
Oh yeah.
There's rumors of that, or there's rumors that they just got killed and got taken over. But the point is, there's like a void of their history. Like we don't know what happened to them, right? So my belief is that these pyramids were around the main city, and when the flood happened, right, it destroyed that, and hence the scientists believe that's when Pangea probably, I'm correlating that, right, that maybe that's when the continents separated, and now these people that are speaking different languages don't understand each other, are now trying to cope and build new. And so I think that this technology and all this stuff was probably because maybe at one point our human society was advanced, and we're doing it again, right? Because now we've learned to communicate even with different translations, because that now exists, right? And I do believe that that's my belief on that, and why I think the Egyptians just lived in the pyramids in the dark. I don't think they knew how to use the energy. I don't think it was the Egyptians that we know. I think it was post,
Yep.
and that's what I believe. But then, somebody will come and say, well, didn't all those people died in the flood, when Noah, because it was just Noah's family. And yeah, I do believe every one of them died. That's why the ones that took, hey, there's a structure here. Let's make a society here. They like the Aztecs, right? The Mexicas seen the pyramids. They used it, and they didn't even know what that's why they were sacrificing people. They were worshiping the sun god, They were, and so I think those were all descendants from of Noah, and and I'm sure there's someone out there that traced the lineage, and we know that you ever heard in the Bible they talk about the Cushites?
What is that?
Okay, the Cushites is a race, and they tie it to Ethiopia, hence the black people, and that came from the lineage of one of the sons of Noah, which I believe was Ham. I believe Ham. Ham's son was Cush, and then I think from there the descendants of black people came from that, and then throughout history, if you read, that's why I don't. When people say Egyptians are, they were all black, the Black King, I don't think so. No, because every time in history or in the Bible, when they talked about a black person, it was known as a Cushite, and it's funny because I didn't know this, and I know I'm falling off the topic, but
No, you're good.
But Moses in the Bible, Moses,
Yeah.
he was married to a Cushite.
So one of his wife,
his only wife,
his only wife
was black, and we know that because his brother Aaron, after they've already when they were in the desert, walking
Wandering.
around, wandering, when God had them, going in circles. Aaron's wife was, I want to say she was making fun of Moses' wife because she was black. And she was basically saying, like, why she's not an Israelite. Why is she here? Why is this and that? Like she was criticizing. And God got mad. And it's in the Bible, and he tells Aaron, or he tells Moses, she's cursed with the skin disease now. So she's now going to be sick and this and that. Aaron comes, and Aaron is Moses' brother, comes to Moses and tells Moses, like, please, ask God to forgive her. She doesn't know what she's saying, this and that. And, God told Moses and Aaron, Moses is the exception. I want you to stay married only with Israelites. But Moses has a special place in my heart. So if you talk bad about his wife, and then he's like, well, have mercy on us. So he goes, yeah, I'll give her mercy. She's going to have that skin disease for a whole month. And she has to be separated from people. Like, and she was like,
She was basically like in quarantine.
yeah, quarantine. Yep.
Yeah.
And which is crazy because I this.
So do you think that's where racism come from?
Well, no, I think racism came afterwards because
I mean, we put a war on it, but
yeah,
it was happening. It's always been happening.
well,
I guess.
and here it goes. I don't want to get this monetized, but the Israelites, yeah, they were instructed by God to not go outside the race.
Okay.
They had 12 tribes, and they were supposed to stay within. And my theory with that is,
Kind of like a pure blood type.
yeah,
of
my theory with that is because they were descendants from Adam and Eve. It was a purity, because I bet you Adam and Eve, and there's scientists right now that will check your DNA, check my DNA, and they can go by generations. How many generations? They can go, oh man, this is your grandfather, this is so and so, and it goes all the way to two genes, and everyone has that. Adam and Eve. That's crazy, right? So like, so I believe that God had that purpose for them to try to keep that pure. But guess what? We didn't. They didn't. They wind up getting married with, all the other, and it was always like, God, they're doing it. Why can't we do it? This and that.
Yeah.
And
he can. Why could I? And
yeah, but and back then racism I don't think was that much of an issue. Well, okay, well, I guess it was, because if you're thinking about, the actual word terminology of racism is someone believes that their race is superior. So yeah, that did exist in a sense, but as prejudice because of a color of a skin, I don't think so. I don't that didn't happen until like
yeah, I think it was more about nationality.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Instead of like the color of your skin, because I mean they were like black or dark skinned slave owners.
Yeah, and they would trade each other.
They would trade.
Slavery
yeah.
would be like something like
They were trading every kind of race or color. Yeah, they were like, I don't know. It was weird back then. And then you have like barbarism going on back in the day. Pillages and it was crazy. If you think now it's crazy, back then was
and it was normalized
worse.
because look. So here's one thing, Christianity, or I'm sorry. Let me go, because in the Old Testament, which is what the Jews believe, which is called the Torah, and they're scrolled like the Ten Commandments. Is what I'm trying to say. Before that, we had no structure. We were like animals. The law of nature is evil. Us humans are evil, and that's why I am very, very uncomfortable with people saying, "Oh, it's okay to be who you are." You're be yourself and be that. No, No, we're horrible. We by nature are bad. We need Jesus. You know what I mean? We're horrible people. We're horrible individuals. I mean, if you don't believe it, look at history. I mean, look, I mean, I hate to bring these people up, but look at the Danes, who were known as the Vikings, right? What their beliefs were like. Hey, if I want your house, I'll just go kill you. And as you're dying, you would be like, "Oh, thank you for killing me. I died an honorable death. I'm going to Valhalla," right? And everybody would praise me. Your kids would be like, they would want a revenge, but guess what? Now they're my slaves, and they would praise me like, "Oh man, this Dane, he's conquering," and we're just so barbaric, so evil, right? And if it wasn't until uh Christianity, we heard that word, "thou shalt not murder," which, everybody says "thou shalt not kill," but the actual terminology of that in Hebrew is "thou shalt not murder." And murder and kill are two different words, two different meanings. And it's crazy because if it wasn't for that, humans wouldn't have what we call now a moral compass.
Yep.
We wouldn't know that, hey, killing is bad and this and that. So when you hear people trying to take God out of the equation or trying to take these moral values, they fall short, and Christianity, as much as people want to attack it, but it gives a platform for a person to have redemption in their mistakes, because we're all bad. We're all make mistakes. It's just until you repent and you ask God forgiveness and you learn from that, But going back to the whole deal about the slavery and racism and stuff like that. So back in the day, from my understanding of history, slavery was more like
Commodity.
like, let's say you own this land here, right? You own 300 acres and I need a job. I have no skill. And so I would come to you and I would call you Lord Julio. Lord, can you please give me a job? I want to have a place. So you give me a job. But then I have nowhere to live either. And, back then the distance, you need me to do something to your land. So guess what? You would say, tell you what, I'll let you work for 60 years. And you can own that house. Build your house there from my land, get trees and this and that. So guess what? I would be considered a slave to you. That was just a contemporary thing. So if you think about it, we're all slaves right now because we all have mortgages,
Yep.
So, I mean, that's kind of what it used to be back in the day. And then there was, of course, which I know people on Facebook or everybody else is going to say right now, well, no, there was people that were actually, abused as slaves.
Yep.
Yes. You had eunuchs. You know what those are, right?
No, what is that?
Okay. Eunuchs would be like if someone owed you and you just didn't, and you wanted them to be like a house servant, and you have mostly kings and pharaohs and would have that. Basically, let's say your wife, she needs a male to carry her and, take her to her room or do whatever, but he's a guy, so you don't want her to sleep with him. So you know what you do? You castrate him. You cut his privates. So that way he's never, that was a eunuch. That's a eunuch. That existed. That existed all the way to
wild,
the 1300s. Man. Yeah. Yep.
That is wild.
Yeah, Persians, they had that, they were called eunuchs, which, so I do understand that most cultures did mistreat their slaves, and slavery is a very bad thing, but and I don't think it had anything to do with race, because you had white people slaves, you had Arab slaves, you had,
it was more about position of power.
That's it. Yeah. And some societies would deem as like, if I owed you for that house and I decided, you know what, I'm not going to pay you, that's how I would put slave. And they would put And it was back then. It was if you had an earring, you were a slave. You were like,
You were marked
yeah, you were marked. You knew everybody knew you were a slave
to someone.
to someone, and I'm sure they branded you like horses.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Man,
So
that was so. That was like if we going back, like it is wild, and now we have like you were saying mortgages, and when you dissect the word mortgage is like mort of
yeah,
death, and age is like your age, like
yeah,
it's like you in debt forever, pretty much, like to
exactly.
the death, whatever. That's the way I see it, like mortgage.
Yeah, and you're right. It is crazy, right? It's just right in front of you. Hey, you're signing your whole life away.
You sign your life away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why you don't call it like you another word but mortgage?
But see, and that's again that it's
I think we do you think that we've been programmed to accept those terms and kind of way of like
honestly,
and kind of like we voluntarily become slave of someone.
and see that, yeah, that I do believe that, and it for the most part, I believe that as much as this is going on, we kind of need that though. And I will say this because we are sheeps. And this is one thing that I will tell the people that disagree with me, or the people that are in the political scheme, that they believe, oh, mega Republicans are brainwashed, or Democrats are brainwashed, or whatever, right? We're all subject to brainwash, all of us. And I've said this before, like the only thing that makes us uh, able to prevent that is to have this discussion, this dialogue, this conversation. And the moment you start insulting, that just shows that you're losing an argument.
Yeah.
If because when you have open dialogues, if I'm saying something that's completely wrong or whatever, you're gonna say something and ask me a question where I'm gonna have to think to myself. If I'm being honest and an honest individual, then I'll take that in and say, you know what? Maybe I need to research. Maybe I need to rethink what I'm saying, because maybe there's and then that's how you make a society, like, and going back to all this about history is important, because like I bet there's a lot of people that didn't know about what I just said right now. And if you don't teach that, just imagine me walking over here and I crash into a wall, and I see someone else coming behind me that's walking, and I'm like, whoa, 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 don't go over there. There's a wall over there. I hit my head. Don't go over there. And then if I said it enough to where that person feels convinced, he would listen and he would not go. Then he would tell the next person behind him. And then that's history, basically. And when we don't know our history, we can repeat it. We can keep going and hit that wall,
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that's scary that I'm seeing with the whole race bait that we were discussing off camera, but that's going on in the world right now, where they're just pinning us against each other for race. And what's the number one thing? And this is why I attack the Democratic Party, because they have a record, and I hate going to politics, I'm sorry, but they have a record where they're putting us, like, they have a record of, they started the KKK, they started Jim Crow laws, they wanted to keep slavery, they uh they basically, all the assassinations and mass shootings, 8 out of 10 of them, it's all them, the Democrat. But anyways, and so going back to this is like, we don't know this history, and now we're repeating it with, again, we're bringing race again post. We discussed this last time, but 2015, with Obama, somehow we reamped this. And I get it. There's no perfect environment, but, we need to get away from that, letting ourselves, and I'm saying ourselves, I don't want to go too, well, I'll go into theory. There is a power man somewhere out there, orchestrating this, because there's money involved.
It's
in
money.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the main goal nowadays. It's just
Yeah,
like
it's just money.
money grab, power grab. It is very, man, in this now new age of technology, cell phones, social media, different platform that you can broadcast your voice. like like this one, it is easily to just with one propaganda or one block of ideas shape somebody else mentality.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
It's easy to manipulate other people. Either or you could be blunt and on your face, or you can be very subtle, very sublime,
Yeah, sublime. Yeah,
and you can just like transform people. And you can make people like do stuff that you want them to do without them even knowing or realizing it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it is a lot of studies out there and like commercials. Like,
exactly.
bro, they're using psychologists.
Oh,
So they hire psychologists and behavioral experts to just like, hey, do this, put these colors, uh, show these angles, show this a lot, and whatever. And people be manipulated. That's why a lot of people, when they see a commercial about food, soda, or
exactly.
they
And see,
like it's especially theaters. When you go to theaters, they show you the soda just nice and
yeah,
cold.
cold.
You got the popcorn, or you got the you got the hot dog with nachos and cheese, and people feel hungry. Be like, oh man, let me get up and get some. You be manipulated.
Exactly. And the thing is, being manipulated. Shout out to Candace Owens, but she brought up this book about MK Ultra, with CIA being involved. So that's why I'm in Alex Jones camp, where I'm like, you know what,
Me
man,
too.
where I'm like, maybe there is some boogeyman out there, orchestrating this, because look at the facts that book brings up, like the MK Ultra, like, wow, like we've been manipulated. And that's why with the pyramids, I can't, it's like we need to know. It's important to know the history, dude. We need to know what's going on there. We need to know why, and why is the government so dragging their feet on this. We want to go all in space, and I get that, but we have so much here in this planet that we don't know about, and or we don't really want to know about.
Yeah.
Because there is something out here which I might have my own beliefs of why they don't want to do it, and and for the most part I'm just gonna summarize it, but it's because they'll find out that God does exist, and if that happens, it destroys the narrative of what they're trying to do right now, because
Do you think that that will destroy religion
well,
at its core?
but see, that's the thing. So
Because you got different religions.
yeah,
out here.
exactly. And
That would kind of destroy like the whole scheme of different religions and stuff like that.
and see, the people that are atheists are probably gonna be like, this guy is an idiot or whatever,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what I'm gonna say is, like, so if you read the Bible and you realize in the Old Testament, and you think, okay, so the book of Samuel, they who wrote that, and you start realizing what era was he writing that, right? And you hear about a prophet named Elijah, and I think I've told you this before, but Elijah, and I hope I'm not, because in Spanish it's Elias, right? But Elijah, he got picked up by a vehicle of fire. That's what the Bible basically describes it, right? Or the author described it, who
Like
wrote that.
chariot of fire.
Yeah,
Whatever.
a chariot of fire. Some said vehicle of fire. In Spanish is carro de llamas, and so it's like, okay, how would one in that time frame would explain that? And I know this is getting to my Christian brothers. They're probably going to be like, this guy is watching too much sci-fi. But what if it was a technology, because God's angels were a militia, a military. There's ranks, right? And we already know that there's vehicles, right? Because of that, what I'm talking about. Well, that prophet, when he's writing what he saw, I mean, imagine if he saw a car right now. How would he describe that? How did he know it's a car, right? How does he know the headlights are headlights? He wouldn't know that. He didn't know about a light bulb. He didn't know about all that. So what would he do? He would probably write and say it was a beast because it's, the car makes a rumbling sound, right? It's a beast and it was growling and his eyes had fire because the headlights would look like eyes.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
fire.
yeah. And it looks like it's fire and there's smoke coming out of it from the exhaust, you know what I mean? And then, he's all same thing with what if it's like a saucer, right? Like a UFO looking thing and it has LEDs all over it, right? And it looks like, the dust and everything to that guy would be like it's a bunch of smoke and there was fire all around it. And when it went fast and so he's describing this, right? So what I'm trying to say is the angels probably have a type of vehicle that might be what I would call it an angelical vehicle, right? And someone that sees it would say it's a UFO.
Right.
But what I believe, it's that. And when Lucifer got cast out from hell and he came to the earth, right? And it talks that in Elijah. I mean, yeah, Elias, no, Isaias, I'm sorry. Isaiah, I'm sorry. Isaiah, in the book of Isaiah, it's in the 40s, I think, where he talks about the fall of Lucifer. And when you think about that, you hear that he had angels that were following him. All right. And I can't help to think, but what if those angels also had their own vehicles and stuff that also they have it here and every now and then they expose themselves and then they like a cloaking device like Star Trek, like they're invisible and then they, and then some people say like, oh, what is that? And they're thinking it's a UFO and it isn't. It's something spiritually, something that's going on. And I have a feeling that in the pyramids, we might find some stuff like that. And that's what explains those hieroglyphics. In my, of course, this is all a theory, and all this I could be 1,000% wrong and whatnot, but, and this is just, fun, educational and somewhat entertaining, but, but at the same time, like, that's what I believe. I believe that maybe, there's something in the pyramids because I think, was it in 2006 when they stopped letting people go in the pyramids?
Somewhere early 2000, yeah.
Because remember, back then you could go. Yeah, you can't go no more.
Even in Mexico, you cannot even.
You can't even go inside no more.
No, they're not even let you go upstairs.
And they say it's because of structural
safety
and safety, but they're going in and out. So that's what I'm saying.
They've been up for centuries.
Yeah, exactly. But they've been going in and out, and they're finding out that was more than just tombs. That's what I'm saying. There's
secret chambers.
Yeah, there's something in there that they don't want us to see.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it was extraterrestrial, and for whatever reason they don't want that. And at that point, then yes, I agree with you that it would disrupt religion. It would disrupt everything because then it would say, like, why do I need to follow these 10 commandments? Thou shalt not murder. You know what I mean? It would draw everyone back to Mother Nature's rules. Strongest of the fittest. Yeah. It'd be chaos.
Yeah, it would be. It would be. It's like, you remember that movie of, I think it was a Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise. You cannot handle the truth.
Oh yeah, you can't handle the truth. Yeah, I remember
that. That would be the case. We cannot handle the truth.
No.
And sadly, I think that's where we are. Either or, man. Technology that might be found on those pyramids, it would be like changing. It would change the course of what we at now of oils and all that stuff. It would go away. And that's why I see it. Like, they will disrupt not only the religion, it will disrupt the economical,
our infrastructure,
and people are gonna lose billions of dollars or trillions, and they don't want to lose power.
Yeah, because think about it. I mean, if you like, there's things that they like the light bulb. Have you heard that Nikola Tesla invented a light bulb? Was it him or was it that someone invented a light bulb that could run forever?
Yeah, I think Tesla was.
It's either Tesla or
Thomas Edison.
One of them, and they of course, if you do that, how would you charge it?
Yeah.
They got to make money somehow. They're not going to give. And there's people right now that want the society. That's why these people that are pro communist, they want a society like Star Trek, the next generation, where money's not a thing and everyone gets everything free, and that's something that we'll never get into because everyone has ambition.
Do you follow Dr. Greer?
No.
No, but you should look into him. He is the one doing the disclosure project, and he went to Congress a couple of times talking about 0 point energy and all this stuff. They evolved from like free energy. And
Oh, that the guy that said that's in the air or something. Because I remember there was a guy that said,
yeah. I will show you a picture of him
Yeah.
later. Dr. Greer. He's very man. He's been doing that for over 25 years, because he knows, and he knows, and he believes there is a like energy source they can solve everybody's problem.
yeah, but they wouldn't. It's just
They
like,
will not let it go,
yeah,
man.
it's just like the cure for
For
diseases.
cancers, yeah.
They're not gonna. There's money. I mean, there's a episode of Family Guy where Peter Griffin's father-in-law, Lois's dad, he's a millionaire or billionaire, and he had like the serum to cure cancer. And Brian was like, the dog was like, hey, oh my God. He goes, no, because there's no money involved in cures. And honestly, I believe that. Look, I lost faith in the medical field because the moment they started separating the doctor from patients, like, and I'm gonna just get off the topic a little bit because that's kind of important. But so you remember, because we're about the same age, and you remember that when you would go to the doctor, if you had something in your elbow, that same doctor would treat your elbow. He would be like, he was your what used to be called primary care, which they still use that word, but he really was. He took care of everything in your body. And the moment he couldn't, he would send you to a specialist. But most of the time, if it was your eyes, if it was something in your nose, if it was something in your ear, he would handle it. But since Obamacare, guess what? Now, if your primary doctor, there's something in your elbow or something in your ear that he could extract or do whatever. Well, I don't want to do that yet because I have to send you to a specialist. So he sends you to a specialist. So they send you a specialist for everything now, right? So guess what? You eliminate the interaction between that doctor and that person. So they send you to a specialist for whatever it is, and then that guy will probably send you to another specialist just to get a second opinion or something. And you're lost in the woods, and this primary doctor is only getting a file now. So he's not going to go against whatever. And they're like, hey, we think that, we need to remove this or whatever. And then they send you to the surgeon. And then let's say these guys mess up. Well, your primary doctor, hey, I had nothing to do with that. That's there. So you're you're kind of like,
You get passed around.
you're getting passed around and you're losing that because I bet you for sure if you went to the same doctor and the doctor was treating you all with everything, there you build this relationship where you're Julio's no longer a number. Julio's not a patient. Julio is Julio. How's the kids? Ya no está. That
Yeah.
doesn't exist no more.
Yeah, I remember that back in the
Yeah, and so now I can't trust that, and it's just scary to me because there's that's the showing proof that they're just profiting out of it. They're profiting out of the problem. And again, going back to this is like I can't help but to think that there's a power in play that these people are doing it, and everybody thinks it's Donald Trump, everybody thinks it's George Soros,
Yep.
but I mean, there's bigger players that we don't even know.
That's my problem. Like money grab, power grab, and everybody wants a piece of a cake, and we are the cake, and
Yeah.
everybody want a piece of you. And that's what I told my wife the other day. I was like, baby, I'm tired of paying bills. Like every week, man. It's like you paying the, let's say you paying utility bills, you know,
Yeah.
water, electricity, whatever. Not even 2 weeks later,
Another bill.
your next bill is ready.
Yeah.
I'm like, God damn. I'm
I
like,
know.
jeez.
And it's getting worse.
Yeah, I don't mind paying. And it just like
Well, and I don't mind paying. What I don't like is that it increases.
every time.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like I get, products have to increase and stuff, but like, you know,
like insurance.
yeah, like I have a clean record. Why
So
am I paying so much?
so am I.
You know? And they should make it to where and everybody wants to say and that's the thing, right? The moment and that was what Obama was trying to push. The moment you make Americans have to pay for insurance and by paying it through your taxes, right? Uh the prices are going to be so outrageous. And that's what happened with the medical and it's just cuz they can, man, it was a bad idea. And even with the car insurance, which I get it, make it into a law that if you don't have insurance, then you're gonna get a fee, a fine, or whatever. But the problem is that there's still people out there that don't have insurance, and they crash your car, and you still got to pay it. And
Yeah.
then if you use your insurance, then your rate goes up, and then guess what? Now you got to pay more monthly because
Somebody wrecking
somebody,
shit.
yeah, wrecked into your, yeah, exactly.
I hate that, man. Going back to the pyramids, because I know we kind of jump off
Yeah.
the topic a little bit. The Ark of the Covenant.
Oh
That that is we could go get ready. We about to go deep on this one because
Yeah, this one's, yeah.
this one is like it's being on the Bible. People thought it was fake. It was lost for what centuries,
centuries, yeah.
and then all of a sudden CIA find out
Yep, the Ark of the Covenant.
the Ark Covenant. Can you read a little bit of it?
Yeah, so it says declassified documents show that in 1988, the CIA used remote viewing under Project Sunstreak to locate the Ark of the Covenant. One viewer described the container of wood, gold, and silver, with an object that had 6 winged angelical figures that described matched traditionally this depiction of the Ark of the Covenant in the Bible, because it shows you that it has like those wings like that. And that is crazy.
It is nuts.
It's nuts because again, that confirms, and that's what I'm saying. Like the powers of play don't want that coming out. And we were discussing this too, that so there, in case some people don't know what the Ark of the Covenant is, it was a box that was known as the box of agreement, the Ark of the Covenant. And that's where the original or the second tablets that God wrote of the 10 Commandments, they're inside that box. So, and not just that, there's some scrolls that Moses wrote, and there's other artifacts in there that God gave directly to Moses. So it was a very, very important evidence that shows that the story of Moses, and if they, it's a big thing. And now, for people that don't know, again, the Ark of the Agreement, the Ark of the Covenant, it was said that only specific tribe of Judah, or no, the tribe which was Levites, right? And the Levites were the only ones that were priests, and they would be the only ones to manhandle the Ark of the Covenant. They said if any stranger touches the Ark of the Covenant, he'd die instantly. They said if you're around it, you'd get sick and die. So I have a feeling that because the Bible tells us what it was made of. It was made of bronze, gold, wood, and that's what they basically found, was that it was wood, gold, and silver. Yeah, there was silver in there, and there's other materials that I believe that is probably what the stones of the Ten Commandments were probably made of, because we don't know what those were made of. And this is a theory that they might have been made out of something that was very high of radiation. And that would explain, if it has like high concentration of radiation, guess what happens when you touch that? You die. You
get sick.
yeah, you get
vomit,
sick, you vomit,
You bleed.
you
whatever.
bleed, and I'm sure um, the only people that could manhandle that would wear a specific clothing, and it was and it's all in the book of Leviticus, where it tells you that's in the Bible, right? That the Old Testament, and that will basically tell you that, like, it tells you what they would wear, the garments they would wear, and there's like gold and maybe, I'm just throwing out there, maybe there was lead, to protect you from radiation, and so, and it's crazy that we even found this, because for years everyone said that it was
gone.
lost. The last time it was under the Philistines' hands, then it went back.
Yep, it jumps from hand to hand.
Yeah.
Like everybody got invaded. There were wars. They find it. They moved it.
And many people don't know this but there was a Persia, right? Persia, they took over Israel at one point, and that's when you get the book of Esther. I don't know if you ever read the story of her, but she was one of the wives of Artaxerxes, which is possibly known to be the Xerxes, the same one from 300. That tall guy, and she was one of his wives.
Damn.
So, yep.
That's crazy.
I know. And you should read the book of Esther. I recommend everybody read that. If you like a story of a powerful woman, read the book of Esther. I really like that book.
You like it?
Yeah.
Now I'm going like it. I'm going to read it tonight.
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up online and read it.
But the fact that we even found the Ark of the Covenant is crazy, and it's our government that is like
using remote viewing.
Yeah, dude, that's
that's
crazy.
Remember, I mean, that was in 1998. Declassified 1998. So that might be dating back 20 to 30 years.
Exactly. So what do they know now? What's classified now that they don't want to let us know? That's what I'm trying to say. It's just so crazy.
It is fascinating how now we're finding stuff out. They've been declassified for decades. It's been out there.
Yeah.
They don't let us know. They just put it out there on the, back then they didn't have 1998. Internet was not a thing.
I know.
So they might put it in the website and nobody find out because nobody look for stuff. But now with artificial intelligence, you just type it up.
Yeah,
and do research for you.
Exactly. And that's what I would challenge everyone to do, that at home. Try it out. Go to chat GPT or some type of AI.
DeepSeek or whatever.
Yeah, and then put on there, hey, CIA unclassified Ark of the Covenant. And it just overwhelmingly like crazy, you know? And that's what I'm saying. They've tried to hide this. And the reason why I'm saying this, the way I said it, that they're, I shouldn't say they're trying to hide it, but they're not deliberately exposing it. And how we know is like the JFK files, right? You have to go to archives.gov and you have to make your research. You have to read those files. And, the same thing with this. You would have to go to archives.gov and that's where you get all your information. But we have an AI now that does it for you. So you just ask it and, it's a tool that is also, it might prey on our downfall. The human race. Terminator.
Yeah, we're getting close to that. I hope I'm old and gone by then. But,
well, if we learned anything about the human destruction of robots and stuff, the first wave of robots are the safest. That's why I tell my wife, hey, when the first wave of robots, we could buy that. But once they start getting to where like they're advanced, Yeah, those are the ones that take over.
Yeah, I'm worried about those. Yeah, the generation of like they thinking of themselves and making their own decision of what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
And that is scary because I have a robot at the house. I got the one the mops and
Oh yeah, there you
the
go. Yeah.
vacuums and do everything. I haven't mopped in months. I just go to my app and put that bee to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, get to work. And she humbly do it no matter the time she do it. But what if 25 years, 45 years from now, we have a autonomous robots doing our stuff at home?
Yeah,
Like
I know
like
cooking, cutting.
cleaning, cutting the grass. I mean, you have
Well, the cutting the
machine.
grass is already there.
It's already
too.
there, but
Yeah.
I mean, like actual Android
Yeah.
type of robot working with you, like reminding you,
Which
hey,
it's
remember,
coming soon.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, Elon said 10 years he'll have it ready, or probably less than 10 years is what he
That
said.
is nuts, man.
30K for one.
You imagine that you wake up in the morning and it's already up making you coffee.
I know.
Here's your coffee.
Can you imagine?
I send you appointments to your phone already.
Can
and
you imagine he's your
Shit.
alarm clock? You're like literally waking up and he's just hovering over you. Sir, wake up. Sir, wake up. You wake up. Oh my God. What the, you know?
That is nuts.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know how I can deal with that.
I mean, what do you do? I mean, he doesn't sleep, right? So when you're going to bed, just imagine, guys, you're going home. Do your nightly routine right now with me. Do your nightly routine. Okay, so what I do is I throw the trash into the trash. Tell the girls, okay, give them kiss goodnight. Imagine I don't have to do that. The robot's doing that, right? So all right, guys, I'm going ready for bed. I guess I would name my robot Nigel. Nigel, go to your charging station, right? And he's just there standing, charging. Well, like that must be freaky, dude.
Bro, what I'm freaked out is how connected he will be to every device.
He would have to be connected to everything.
He will be connected to the Alexa, to your
Siri,
to your cameras at the house.
To everything, to the
everything.
stove, the
To your
washer and
stove.
dryer. The washer and dryers already have like Wi-Fi, and it tells you like, hey, the load's about to end. And so that would be connected to the robot.
Everything
The
will be connected.
thermostat would be connected to the robot.
Everything
Everything.
will be connected.
Everything.
Your car,
Your car.
because I have,
Nigel, get the car ready.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he will tell you, sir, you need an oil change on your car.
Well, Nigel, go do it. You know what I mean? What is he gonna go to the store for you and get all the parts for you?
I mean, car driving themselves now.
I know.
I mean, I have a friend who owns a Cybertruck, and he
crazy.
explained to me there is two modes of driving. They got the self-driving mode, and they got the autopilot. The autopilot is just like you go on the highway, you put in autopilot, and it drives itself.
Yeah.
But you have the self-driving mode, which is you tell him where to go, and he just go.
That's crazy.
He just go. And
So
I
you're
like,
just take me home.
yeah, take me home. And he don't do nothing. He told me like, Julio, I just sit, grab my phone, work on my leads and my clients, and they drive me home.
Dude, that just sounds to me like very productive. I could do so much with something like that.
He has like 16 cameras. 16.
But man, the price though,
I mean, yeah, if you look at it, it's like
And then
he paid about 100 grand. For
Yeah,
it.
and then the tires, because I've heard they only do like 20 miles, 20,000 miles or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, because the
weight of it?
batteries of it is so heavy that it wears the tires out fast.
Yeah, he told me it weighs about 8,000 pounds.
Oh, that ain't too bad. 8,000 pounds. That's basically like a normal sized truck.
It's like a 350.
Yeah, like a dually. Yeah.
Like a dually, yeah.
Yeah.
It
'Cause
weighs
I think my dually was 9,500 pounds. Yeah.
It had to be all.
Yeah.
It had to be steel, because if you haul, you cannot have aluminum.
Correct.
It had to be steel. Yeah, man, it's crazy, man. In like 8,000 pounds.
Man.
Where do you go from 0 to 60? Like,
But
fast.
I was thinking of buying an electric vehicle before I bought this truck that I have now, and Man, I was making the math because that's what I do now. I'm an estimator, right? So
Yeah.
I'm estimating it, the all the way to the kilowatts and everything, and the amount of what I drive, and I would spend more on my light bill, and it would basically my fuel. What I would spend on my fuel, I would spend more on the electricity. So it doesn't apply for me. I guess if you were in the city and you're driving from here to there, and there's so many charge stations that are free, yeah, I guess that would be okay. But um, but it takes I think 16 hours to fully charge it.
Yeah, that's what he told me. Like, it would take about 10 hours, 10 to 15 hours if you charge it at home. But if you go to the power charge station at the Tesla, whatever, about 20 minutes.
And so I think if you have,
And it's free though.
yeah, if you have $150,000 to spare, you buy the truck and you buy a solar
I guess-
designated just for
Yeah.
the electric car.
Yeah.
I think
Like
it makes sense.
On my deal, I have solar here with a battery, but in my deal with work, because I get free nights of, I get free nights,
Yeah.
so I can charge it from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. free. For me, would be worth it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I will not spend a dime on it because during the day, if I want to charge it, I use the solar panel,
Yeah.
and then just charge it.
But see, okay, so for most Americans, they probably and I would be falling in that camp. So, but like if I decided to get solar, I would have to finance that, right? And it's like about 60,000 or something like that.
So you got two options now. Nowadays you have either finance or lease. Mine's are leased.
And so I'm assuming that if you finance it, then your payment should be somewhere between $300 to $400 a month for it, right?
Somewhere
Yeah.
around that.
So, and this is where I'm like, okay, my light bill where I'm at is about $200 a month. So I would be paying more, basically, and then
If you purchase it, at least
Yeah.
it's way less.
it's way less. Okay,
Yeah, I pay about 180.
and see, depends where you live, right? Because
Yeah.
I know, like, if you have direct energy or what was the other one, Reliant Energy. Man, I seen some people's light bills, my friends, and they're like paying $500-$600.
Around here,
Yeah.
I seen people paying like
I live
upwards 300, and I'm like, I'm not going through.
where I live. There's only one electric company, which is called Sam Houston Electric.
Oh, you
And
got some Houston?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I pay like $100 for a 3,000 square foot house, like 180. But we try to be
Conservative.
conservative, but yeah. So for me, I feel like that won't apply. We have a Generac in case something does go bad.
Yeah.
Which, funny story, real quick. I know this is getting off topic big
No,
time,
you're
but this is funny. My wife is gonna appreciate this. I love my wife, by the way. I love her to death. When we bought our house, we had some money, some fluff to either pay for a fence, and I have about a little bit of over an acre, close to 2, right? But so like the fence for all that, the privacy fence, was about $17,000,
Damn.
and so it's like, okay, I wanted the fence because I like the privacy, and so I wanted the fence. She wanted the Generac because when I worked in the oil field, every time they would rain, the lights would go out, and she would have to wheel this welding machine and hook up, in the rain and turn on the welder and then have power, and so she got tired of that. And I told her, well, I'm here, baby, and I ain't going nowhere. I'm working from home now, so I'll do that. And she's like, no. What if you're not here or whatever? And so she wanted the Generac, and I wanted the fence, and we went back and forth, and obviously she won. She won that battle, and then so we bought the Generac. We paid. Shout out to Arc Generators. They gave me a really good deal. I paid $15,000 for it, and I had to buy a little propane for it because we live in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, you have to get a
Yeah.
how big is your tank of propane?
250 gallons.
Gallons. That's a lot.
Yeah, and it
How long
lasts
how long-
7 days. 7 days, 24 hours, nonstop, 7 days. And
That's good.
yeah, so on the fourth day, I call them because give them that 2 or 3 day to come fill up.
Fill up. How much they charge you for?
I think I paid $230, almost $1 a gallon, almost something like that, or $2 a gallon, almost.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's not bad for emergencies,
I mean, it is clean though, because propane burns cleaner than diesel. So
And so for a whole year, that Generac wasn't doing anything. So I was complaining to my wife.
we should have the fence.
Yeah, we should have the fence. We should have the fence. Then Beryl came, the Hurricane Beryl, remember?
Oh,
And the lights go out, and so much that I was complaining to my wife. I should have. See, I told you we should have got. I'm being nasty to her. She told you should have got the fence, man. Like dang, and the lights go out because I told her the energy hasn't gone out, at all. Lights go out. It's running. I see all my neighbors pitch black. I feel guilty because my lights are the only ones on, and we're in the AC. It's cold inside the house, and
it's hot.
It's hot outside, And I was like, man. And I look at my wife, and I was like,
what did she say?
She was just looking at me like, come on, come on,
say it.
And I was like, you were right. You're right. Okay, you're right. I'm glad we And she goes, you're glad you listen. You have to listen to me.
Yeah, you have to. She's right, man. She's right. That's good, man. I did the same thing here. We moved in, not even a year, and I was like, we should get solar panels or something, because it was, power here was like out every other week. I'm like, hell no, because we have brand new furniture, brand new TVs and all that, and I was like, man. And she came out with an idea, and she said, hey, baby, just look into either a Generac, because we have a store right nearby, or solar panels. And I was like doing both, and I'm like, man, I don't want to deal with maintenance on the generator or whatever, because they give you maintenance while you're paying for it, whatever. Correct. It's like 5 years, whatever.
Yep.
But what if I want to stay 10 years here? Like, who's gonna maintenance that? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm like,
so you paid for the service?
Yeah, I'd rather just like, hey, let's go solar panels. And the same thing, like we put the solar panels and everything with the battery, and the hurricane came in.
You had power.
And we had power.
Oh man, that's so great.
And I mean, I had to like wiggle with the AC.
Yeah.
Because I have only one battery. So I was like, all right, let me crack the AC
and shut something off.
Yeah, when the sun is hot, whatever, it's just like I leave it running, and it cools the house down. And at night, we use a battery, and we put the AC at like 77 degrees, whatever. Yeah. So when it reaches 77, it keeps the house cool at night. And when I woke up in the morning, I still have like 20% charge of the battery. And I'm like, oh, man, good.
And then the sun
come up and recharge it again, and we were good.
That is cool.
Yeah, and we at least kids have like cold water, and we have fans. So
the fridge is always working.
Yeah, that's a good thing about it's a pro cons in both, but either way you get power.
Yeah, that's the same thing with Generac. I'll be honest with you that when it was the third day of the Generac, they tell you, when they installed it, they tell you can only run the AC. Mm-hmm. And everything else, normal. Run it normal. But if you need to use a dryer, or use the electric stove, turn off the AC. I didn't do it. I wanted to try it out. I maximized everything. I even told the neighbors.
How big is yours, like 20K?
Yeah, 22.
Oh, it can handle it?
Yeah, I know. I went and gave extension cords to my neighbors. Here you go.
I bet they were happy.
Yeah, they were happy, And I was like,
man, it should be a long extension cord, because you have 2 acres.
Yeah,
almost.
I know. Oh, yeah. It was 100-foot mine, and then his 50-foot. But, I was like, dude, I'm trying to see how good this thing is, and it held up pretty good.
That's good. I mean, yeah.
So can you imagine the Egyptians with the pyramids and electricity? I want that energy,
Oh, yeah. That's what I want. That's like Tesla. They kind of bankrupt Tesla.
I know.
Like Ford and all this, they find out the energy. Like he could like do wireless energy way back.
Which then. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That I've heard that something in the air, there's electricity, and I've seen that, with videos. And,
right.
And they got that from what you're talking about, that from Nikolai Tesla. And it's just crazy that,
It's if we go in the same time as conspiracy, they bankrupt Tesla. They unalive the guy that invented the car that run with water.
yes,
Remember that shit?
yes,
And they disappeared the guy that invented the I think he got like a power like a rod they put on the ground
correct.
and he get power to his old bar dominium whatever.
Yeah,
And he disappeared. Like it was a box with two rods. And he said he insert those rod on the ground and he get powered. And they disappeared that guy too. So I'm like,
there was
bro,
you remember there was like a grocery store shootout, and there was a security guard, or a black guy security guard. It happened, I think, 2017, maybe 20.
man, I don't remember that one.
Or was it 2021? I don't know. But anyways, it's crazy in conspiracy again. That guy, the security guard, where that white dude shot him first, and he made sure he killed that guy, and then he just shot people randomly. It was almost like he was trying to kill this guy. Well, that guy happened to. He had just put a patent for with water. What are they called? Hydrogen. He built something where it could get installed to any car. So, like, if you buy a car, you just put this thing. You have to change two little things, and he was patenting it to sell it to the public, and they unalived him. And conspiracy is that someone basically unalived him on purpose. That shooter, basically, or the pew pew guy, basically unalived that guy. That was the target
For that purpose.
Yeah, because he was, and there's a YouTube video of him, that same security guard, explaining, and it looks like a crazy contraption in his truck, but he was like, he's like, I'm patenting it, and he was like saying, I've made another. He's working with a 3D, someone that does a 3D printing, and they were gonna make it nice and neat. But he's like, overall, this is how big it's gonna be, and he in the video he shows it.
And what it do? Like it amplify like the.
It just runs out of water. That's it, on water, just on water. And you don't have to change your engine or anything. I don't know what he was doing, but he made something, and he was just saying that he was gonna sell that, or he made a patent. He was gonna sell that for the public, and he goes, you don't even need to change anything on your car. This he called it something, right? And he's like, and you just add water on the tank that you put in the back seat, and you add water. That's it. I'm like, what?
And you can run forever.
And forever, you just fill up water, basically.
Oh, when the water's run out, put more water, and
put
you
more
could
water, and that's it. That's
Damn.
it. I was like, man.
I bet you could get like about 100 miles a gallon.
Who knows how much, but it's just
water.
Water is.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna go online, look it up, and hopefully I'll be able to bring it up so people can see pictures of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I find it for you.
Man, that's crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah,
that's crazy. And remember the other guy that fucking he got like poison at the restaurant. I think that was the guy of the car that he invented.
I think
he was the one, because he was talking to somebody to patent and sell it, and then they were at the restaurant and he came out like, oh, they poisoned me, and he just dropped.
Oh man,
that was
but and see, the thing is, that's why I'm saying, like, man, little things like that is the reason why we exist out here, coming up with these theories, because we like, there's too many coincidences. Too many coincidences.
And it's like it was on the verge of releasing that too.
Yeah,
they were like a few steps away to sell it or put it out there, and boom.
I know
they ended up dead.
And see, these stories are many stories that again, and I hate to change it to this, but the Clinton Foundation, and I know we can talk that forever, but
that shit, that
Too many coincidences,
too
man.
many.
Too many people that were close to that family that are unalived, and they unalived themselves. I mean, if it
Yeah.
walks like a duck, it's a duck.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. It is nuts. And it happened like, remember the Clinton Foundation's head of the organization in Haiti got arrested for human trafficking. Remember that?
yeah, that was
That
crazy,
was,
dude.
they buried that under the carpet.
And it was,
quick.
and it was an
She
orphanage.
declared, yeah, she declared guilty. She declared guilty of like I think it was human trafficking or something like that
And-
on that aspect, and that was they
And-
were kidnapping kids.
And here's one thing, and I hope everybody remembers this, but when the hurricane happened, or the tsunami, right? Or it was a hurricane, and
I
it
think it was
just
an earthquake down there.
or an earthquake. It was
Yeah.
some disaster.
It was
right?
a natural disaster.
And they had Nicki Minaj. They had a bunch of celebrities make concerts to build up funds,
It's a fundraiser,
and
yeah.
it was for Hillary Clinton. And remember that Obama sent a boat, and everything, and it had AIDS, and that money was supposed to rebuild Haiti.
It's supposed to.
Supposed to. To this day, Haiti's still the same way.
Oh, they got
after-
barbecue now down there.
Yeah,
They got the guy barbecue going crazy on
Oh,
Haiti.
man, dude. And where'd that money go?
Mm.
And she would always criticize Trump. Follow the money. Well, let's follow her money.
Yeah,
like she.
that's what I don't.
it's-
That's what I don't like. Nonprofits, man. I love.
I don't like nonprofits either.
I mean, I get the why they want to do it, but if you look at the nonprofits, sometimes the nonprofits are like
20% of it goes to the actual profit. The rest is
it's
all
just payments,
it's all what we
compensation. That's what they call it,
call,
compensation.
overhead.
Overhead compensation, and
Because I have to drive this Mercedes to go into the events, and that's
yeah,
not cheap.
I have to pay this building's rent, but they own the building, so they're paying rent to themselves.
And then the nonprofit owns a house that's about $800,000, and I have to live somewhere, to run this organization.
Yeah, because I work 50% from home, so
Yeah, it's
so
just,
and it's tax deductible
and now they have it to where every time you check out anywhere, it's asking you for some foundation, and would you like to donate $1, and a dollar, a penny times a million, it's a lot of money,
yeah, that's 1 million
Yeah, exactly,
off the streets,
Yep.
and they
A
get
dollar
paid.
here, a dollar there.
I went to a couple of non-profits. I went on quick search and how much they get paid. COO, the CFO, and all the people, whatever that works there, and I see a few. Man, they're getting the head of the founder, whatever, 300,000 K a year,
That's
400,000 K, and I'm like, what they do? What do they do? Simple, just go around,
just
ask
go
for
around.
money.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. They'll throw little parties here, and
There is some out there that do
no,
the work.
And don't get me wrong, I do know that there's someone out there that started it with good intentions,
Mm-hmm.
but then just like everything, if it gets too big, you have to start making it into a type of corporate setting.
Yeah.
And then when that happens, more investors get involved, and they start seeing profit more than what the actual cost. And then guess what? The person that started it is feeling good because they started something,
Mm-hmm.
but then it's like, well, at least the 20% out of billions is something than nothing, right? But
Yeah.
still, though, it's just like, why couldn't, like, when I'm donating, I'm hoping that my dollar is doing something, not 20% of my dollar is doing something,
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way I see it too.
Yep.
That's the way I see it. That's why I like when they ask me for a donation, I'm like, no.
Yeah, I always say no. And they, they always give me that look like at McDonald's. Would you like to donate for the Children Foundation? And
They,
I'm
they
like,
do
no.
the roundup now. They do the
Yeah,
roundup.
roundup.
Like, do you like to round up? And it's like my order was like $10.99. Like, you want me to give you a cent? No.
No, yeah.
You know
I'm
what I mean?
good. I'm sorry. I want my penny.
I want my penny back.
I would much rather, if they had like, hey, go to this place and, you can donate the money directly to the family, then I would be
I
okay
would do
with that.
that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would be.
Or buying an article like, oh, you can buy a case of cat meat or whatever.
Yeah,
I rather to do that because they will give it to somebody else rather than giving cash. Because cash is
exactly.
just like you were saying, like 80% is just for everybody else, and then oh, you get a quarter.
Yeah, that's just so
It
crazy.
is it is crazy, and that's like me with the nonprofits. I'm like, I pick and choose sometimes. I
Exactly.
rather to give items, blankets, clothing,
Clothing,
shoes,
food.
food, but no cash. That's
Yeah, and
that's my
you
belief.
know, you ever seen those people that come at you when you're like at a restaurant or you're at a store and they're like, "Hey, you know, I need some money or whatever." What we've been practicing is this, and we'll just tell them, "I don't have any cash. Um, is there anything else I can help you with? Maybe are you hungry or something?" And when they do say that, well, we'll be like, "Well, can you follow me to this Chick-fil-A, or do you mind Chick-fil-A? Do you want, you know?" And we'll get them the food. You know,
Yeah.
I'd rather do that than to actually give them money because uh, I don't know, you know, I don't know their situation, and I would hate to be a person that is enabling a habit that is
Oh yeah,
keeping them
yeah.
down. You
I feel the
know,
same way. Yeah,
yeah,
I feel the same way. Like, is it? Oh man, I need money for gas. Like, where's your card?
yeah, exactly.
Or where's your gas can? Let me fill it up for
Yeah,
you.
I'll fill it up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, let's walk up there. What is that?
Instead,
At
they're like,
$2, that's like
hey,
$4, whatever. Yeah.
and one of those, one guy told me, "Look, man, I really don't want food. I just want to buy some beer. Okay." I was like, I was like, I'll buy you a beer then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, at least he's honest, you
At
know.
least, yeah.
And then, but you know, but that's the thing though. Like you know, I'd hate to do that because, um, you know, that's probably he thinks that it's just keeping my mind away from this situation that I find myself. But honestly, that's what's keeping me there, being complacent and being able to stay there, you know.
Oh
But
yeah.
that alone right there is another topic though. The mental health crisis that's going on with what Obama did, which people don't know this, but back then they used to, if you were crazy and you had no relatives, they would put you in something called an insane asylum where, you're crazy and Obama had grounds to, I will admit that, but I disagree with it. But that no one should have the right to be locked up like that, when they can't even consent themselves and they have no family. That's why he got rid of that. And that's why we have a bunch of these bums around Obama, is because a lot of them don't have family and they're not mentally well.
Yeah.
And that's why they're okay with living in the streets. Because honestly, if I were to lose everything right now and everything, like my whole house and everything, I would probably be living in the streets for like about a week or two. But I would find a way, because of what I know, because knowledge is key. What I know, and thank God I don't have mental issues, and I would just get up and find a job. They have these truck stops where you can take a shower to look presentable, and work at
Buc-ee's.
McDonald's or something,
Go to
Buc-ee's or
yeah.
something, and then work your way.
You can get a good shower at Buc-ee's.
Yeah. Hey, Buc-ee's pays good.
Oh yeah.
I seen that they make like 6 figures for a manager.
Yeah, they do. They pay very, very well. And
I might work at Buc-ee's.
Yeah, they keep them showers clean.
Yeah.
And the toilets. Every time I go to Buc-ee's, either at Madison or here at
That's the only one closest to us, I think. Madison.
They got one in 290.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
They got
the
a
one in
small
Waller.
one. Yeah. They got that
Oh,
one.
and they do got a smaller one, right before Waller.
6 or Highway 6,
Yeah.
something like that. So I go, but I like when I travel down north, I go down in Madison. I like that Buc-ee's.
And for anyone that doesn't know what a Buc-ee's is, if you come to Texas, go to Buc-ee's. It's a beaver. It's a yellow sign. He has a hat.
It's a huge gas station.
Yeah, it's a huge gas station. It's more than a gas station. It became a Texas cultural thing.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, if you are traveling on the road and you need to use the restroom,
Go to Buc-ee's.
go to Buc-ee's.
Yeah, you can.
You would thank me, and it's a very nice restroom.
Yep.
The stalls are all like private, 100% wall the way. The doors are closed all the way.
Yep.
I mean,
They have a dedicated person for each bathroom too.
yeah, exactly.
They have like one guy he just do that. That's his whole purpose.
Yeah.
You got one on the main floor, and then you got like two for male and female, and bathrooms.
And then they have like sanitizing thing for the seats. You know, and they have the sanitizing wipes.
The brisket sandwich.
Oh, the brisket sandwich.
They're on point.
Yeah, their breakfast. Have you had their breakfast tacos?
Oh, the burrito. Oh yeah, I had the burrito
yeah,
before. Yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah, it's good. It's a whole experience, man. When you go to Buc-ee's, it's a whole experience.
Yeah, and you know, so my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, when they came from California, I took them to Buc-ee's. They were amazed. They were like, "This is a gas station?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then, you know, Texans, everything in Texas is big, baby.
Big.
Yeah, so they were amazed, you know.
Yeah, Buc-ee's have like 25 pumps in
Yep.
some cases. 20 pumps, 25 pumps.
And then they have everything.
They have everything. They have for RVs. You can park
For your
RV.
fishing supplies.
Oh yeah, hunting fish,
supplies,
barbecue.
the snacks.
Oh yeah.
If you think snacks are life, you need to go to Buc-ee's.
You have a wide selection of drinks, snacks. Man, you can have it all.
I see. Oh, and then the other thing too, they have like a beef jerky. It's like a meat market almost.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Different beef jerkies.
Yep.
Deer sausage. All that, dude. It's amazing. I
want to go to Buc-ee's now.
Bucky.
Oh, they got the slushy
sponsor
system.
us.
Yeah, they got the big gulp like the slushies.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, no.
My kids love those. I don't give them too much. I get the small one because it's a lot of sugar in it. But when we go to Buc-ee's, I let them grab it, whatever they want.
You know, and
I mean, they're spending a lot, but
you know, because Buc-ee's, I spend a lot at Buc-ee's. I don't know if that's a normal thing or not.
I guess it's.
Yeah, because we'll make it into like when we have nothing to do, like we're bored, and I have no ideas. I'll just throw that. I want to go to Buc-ee's. They're like, yeah, Buc-ee's. They get all crazy. Then we'll just go to Madison.
Yeah, you can find toys for the kiddos, plushies.
Sometimes we don't even get anything just to go to Buc-ee's and just get around. Snacks. It's
always
crazy.
packed.
Yeah, it is always packed.
Always packed. You could go like at fucking 2:00 in the morning. It's a lot of people walking around.
Man, and it's always packed.
Always packed.
Doesn't matter what time you go. It's always packed.
It's a place to go, man. Sometimes you're just in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's packed.
And it's packed.
You see the line up in the highway, whatever.
The lines in the gas station, they have like you said, 32 stations, and then their lines.
They got the high risers too, for the RVs and big trucks, whatever. Yep. And they got the big trucks in the back.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
They got the trucks
for your for tractor trailers.
For tractor trailers out the back, and they had the RVs and they had the regular cars.
When crazy. I used to travel on the pipeline and I would go back and forth from New Mexico to home, I used to take my Doberman with me. I used to have a dog. His name was Bane. And he used to come with me. And we stopped at Buc-ee's. And then one thing that Buc-ee's has is a dog park. You know what I mean?
You have it all, man.
What? I didn't even know that too, you know? So it's like, man, that they did it right. You know, they thought of everything.
Yeah, they do.
Thought of everything, literally. Yeah, which is crazy.
That's what I like from going back to it. So what I like from Buc-ee's is just how clean it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Organized, clean, always. You see everything, like it's like every aisle is like everything's organized. If there is nothing like it's nothing a lack of.
Yeah,
it's always like plenty of like gummies, bubble gums.
Yeah, they're always stocked up.
Always stocked up. Always. No matter what, it's always stocked up.
But I think the number one thing that everyone would see and would agree with us is what you just said right now. The restrooms are clean.
Always, man.
That is just crazy.
It is crazy. No matter what, it's just always clean.
And so that, for all you other gas stations out there, I mean, they got high traffic and look how clean their restrooms are, you know?
Yep.
And you got one of those gas stations that we know that has not even the flies go there, and the restroom looks like, you know.
Yeah, you have to cover your nose
just to
go there. Sometimes I'm avoiding. I'm like, I'm not going there.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a Buc-ee's like 2 miles down the road.
And then I can't help to think, and maybe this is me the way I think, but it's like if they have it this dirty and they're okay, how are they keeping the drinks and
Right.
the freezer, and you know what I mean? So I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to buy anything there because who knows how they stored it and how they kept it,
Yep.
you know? And that's how
Man, now you got me thinking. Yeah, you're right, man.
it's just like, that's what I'm
Shit.
saying. Like, you know, you ever think like, how, if they're okay with it being like that, smelling like urine and
Ugh.
stuff, and then, you know, how do they keep their products, you know? So I'm like, you know what, I'll go in that gas station. So if you see me, whoever's in the gas station, you see me go in and then I judge you by your restroom and I'm like, all right, bye. I don't even get anything. It's because
I judge it by the smell.
yeah.
If I walked in and smell like urine and the first two step, I'm just like turn
Yeah.
around. Yeah, make a U-turn and be like, let me go elsewhere.
Hey, and then because of that, because of the whole urine in the bathroom and the feet, we step on it. We do it like the in the house where no shoes in the house, inside the house, because of that, you know, because it's like, oh man,
Yep. Here's like I got tile
yeah,
and it's you can wear shoes. My
Yeah.
my guests wear shoes, and
Yeah,
some
exactly.
people like, oh man, your house look clean, man. Let me take my shoes off. It's up to you.
I know.
I don't care.
And you have it spotless white, so it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't even want to touch the
Yeah.
walls, you know. It's like
People come
man,
in, they just put their hands to themselves and like,
yeah, it makes you want to just like, man,
Yeah.
you know,
my wife keep everything clean.
man,
just-
it's beautiful, beautiful
yeah,
home.
everything clean. Hey, let's jump to this topic. It's very
Yeah,
hot.
I know.
I know we just talk about our
Back and
life,
forth,
but
yeah.
go to Bucky's. You're gonna love
You're
it.
gonna love it. And Bucky's sponsor us, please.
Please do. We're in Houston. We are here north of Houston, Magnolia. Just give me a shout out or text me, whatever. But
But the Ark of the Covenant.
that's wild. But I want to jump to these social events going right now. You know, we have an active shooter. We had an
Okay,
active shooter
in Dallas, right?
since Dallas or Florida.
I seen one in Dallas, and then I seen one in Florida.
Yeah,
So that's two.
I think the one in Florida,
They haven't caught him.
they caught him.
Oh, they caught him. Okay,
Yeah,
thank
his
God.
name is Phoenix Ike or Ink or
Okay. No, I don't know about the
He's-
Florida one as
he's
much.
I don't know if I think it's Florida. He's the son of the deputy chief.
No, from which one? What county?
I think I don't know. What
Don't
was
say
the count-
Polk County, because that's my favorite guy.
Yeah, I know, but no, it wasn't. I think it
Okay.
wasn't Polk, but yeah, he unalived 2, injured 6, and they just I just saw it now. It happened like an hour, 2 hours ago,
Oh my gosh.
and it's crazy.
Because wasn't there one yesterday?
Yeah,
in
it was
Dallas?
one yesterday in Dallas.
Dallas.
And the one today at
I know I right now that, man, we're living in crazy times because I am just focused on the what is it, Fresno or Fresco? Frisco, Texas, with Carmelo and
Yeah.
the mid calf. Oh my gosh, like it's just
It is. That's what I want to get my
Laptop,
segue.
yeah.
Yeah, because it is. Let me look at the active shooter. What are your thoughts on Carmelo? Like more information came out, and what are your thoughts like on your moral stance on it?
And see, this is what it's a tragedy and both sides. I don't think we should make it into about a race thing because honestly, they're two young athletic boys and young men around that age. I mean, we have a lot of testosterone, and you know, it's just it was very natural. It's very natural for two competitive young men to be, you know, like, oh, I'm the man. Oh, you know, like it's a normal occurrence. What I don't like is the fact that Carmelo had a knife in his pocket. You know, for number one, we shouldn't have a knife in school, period. And honestly, like, let's say Midcalf got aggressive with him. You know, it was raining. They said it was raining. It was a tent. He wasn't supposed to be in that tent. And, you know, they were telling him, hey, get out. Now, why they were telling him to get out, it could be whatever your reasoning. The fact of the matter is where I can't defend Carmelo is because he had a knife with him. A knife at his age, 17 years old, you gotta know that if I'm gonna stab someone, it could potentially kill him. There's a high probability that he's gonna bleed to death, or he's gonna, so what I'm trying to say is it's the normality of what a normal situation would occur is that, and this is why I miss, and this, again, I know this is a conservative talking point, but I miss the past where beat me up, I beat you up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We
You know,
square up. And
we square up. That's it. I mean, ain't nothing better than a good ass whooping. If back then, like, hey, if I really felt of the need to, like, assert my manliness or whatever, right? We would all right, meet me in the restroom, or meet me outside.
We throw down.
Yeah, we throw down and boom, and we would become friends after that. You know, and so I don't like the whole fact that if Carmelo felt scared because they were both around the same stature from what I believe it, right? And for him to just hurry up and stab him, because from what I understand from reading the articles is that, the Metcalf child basically said, "Hey, Carmelo, you get out of here." Everybody was telling him that, and he was cussing them back. Like, probably my imagination would be like, "Hey, you ain't gonna tell me what to do and make me," or what the normal thing that every young guy says. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure Metcalf, also being very athletic, he was a football player, athletic. They have high testosterone. Same thing, wants to assert his manliness.
Yeah,
right?
his position. Yeah.
So he's probably like, you know what? Reached to get the backpack, which I'm assuming he was getting Carmelo's backpack to kind of like what you do when you want to escort somebody. You get their belongings, give it to them, and you shove them out. So that's what I'm thinking he was doing. And Carmelo stabbed him, right? That's what when I read what I've read, that's what I'm understanding that went down from the
Altercation.
yeah. So I just, what happened to just throwing down? Like, I mean, that was deadly force that it didn't require. Mm-hmm. Now, if and then there was I think someone said that Metcalf was probably bullying Carmelo and this and this and that, and honestly, I don't believe that so much because of the way and we can only judge people by what they give us. Like, if I do something right now, yeah, judge me. Mm-hmm. That my actions, it's basically, you're gonna judge me by what I'm giving you. When you're taking a picture with a pew pew, and you're also at the same time, putting, and they've taken this down, but at first in Twitter, Unfiltered, man, they put whatever he put on his post, and it says something. I was in that era too, being gangsta or whatever, but and then I see another picture of Metcalf also holding a rifle.
Yeah, I think it was an AK.
Yeah, and his also was saying, his caption was saying, and you can look this up, he was saying, "Here at the shooting range with my mom, my pop and my brother getting ready for that deer season." And somebody, I don't know who, somebody put both pictures and said, "We see the same thing," because they were trying to make it race, trying to make it to where the black guy looks like he's a criminal, and the white guy, we're not criminalizing him because that is the what do they call it? The white privilege, right? Because he's looking all angelic, holding a rifle, but he looks like, and I don't think that's not the same thing, because one context is he's saying he's got an AK-47, and he's being like, an AK-47, versus the other guy, he's practicing for hunting. And then guess what? You scroll over a week later or 2 weeks from that Metcalf's and he went hunting with his dad and his brother. And so, what about this guy? Then you see scroll over, and there's a picture of him flicking them off, and flicking the world off or whatever, and just being a thuggish thing,
Right.
Again, that only brings up his character. So I understand what happened today. Today, the 17th, is that the parents of Carmelo had a press conference. And who organized that press conference? Was it the parents' idea? Was it their lawyer that is probably orchestrated it? I don't know. But Metcalf, the victim's father, decided, you know what? I want to go listen. Now, some people might say he's being aggressive or whatever. I disagree with that, because if you heard the second day or the day of when his son died, when they pronounced him dead and they told him what happened, there's an interview out there that the dad said this: I forgive that kid that killed my son. And he said, I forgive him. We all make mistakes. So his character is not shown to be a guy that's going to stir up problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my belief is that he was going there to get because there's so much noise going on, right? Like what we're doing now, we're talking about it. And we could be wrong. We could, because all this is just our opinions. We're all entitled for that. And that's the price. That's why I teach my kids, whatever you do, you have to take accountability of whatever. But anyways, so I'm sure if I was put myself in that father's position, I want to go there to see what that parents are saying and get the information from the source, instead of hearing rumors that they bought a $800,000 house or a $150,000 Escalade. She claims that that's all false or whatnot, but public information is free out there, or it's not free, but there's people that pay $30 a month, and you can find public information. Like I can find out your address and all that, right? So they can find out your purchases too. That's all public information. So whether it's verified or not, I would think that since there's so much, that it might be, nothing's further from the truth. And if they are doing that, that sheds a bad light to those Carmelo's parents, And anyways, getting to my point, whether it was Carmelo's parents that did this decision or the lawyer that they hired is giving a bad advice, we could have toned down the anger, the temperature, because that was a moment that the social media could have had a split screen showing the father, because the father decided, I'm going to go to that press conference and hear them out. He went in there for 10 minutes, stood there, he tried to blend. And then when the media found out that who he was, they separated and left him like alone. Then the lawyer comes out and the cops come, because I guess somebody from there kicked out the father. And the lawyer said some nasty stuff that what I'm trying to say is that was a moment that we could have somewhat toned down the temperature and kind of united everybody. If the mom, remember, because the mom and the dad, they weren't there when the incident happened. They're not. So if they would have said, hey, I don't know what actually happened, but I want to take this moment in front of everybody and apologize if it is true that my son did that, because there's a due process. And I want to believe that my son didn't do it. But if in that case, whatever, I am so sorry. And that moment, the split screen, the media could have had his reaction and her reaction side by side to let the world see that both parents are hurting. Instead, they chose a cowardly route that is just I mean, I got infuriated because how are you going to kick you guys owe him that much? I mean, your son might have took his son away forever. He's not going to see them, right? So you owe him at least some shred of apology. You know, if it was my son that did that, you know, I would be destroyed that my son took someone else's son. I would be like, you know what, man, because anything I say, even if I think my son did it, that should not affect. If this lawyer is a good lawyer, he would say, well, that's the mom's belief. She wasn't even there in the incident. She's not even part of the court case. So you could get that to be removed from the court document, you know? So it's like, again, that was a moment that we could have united. Again, because of this, now makes me think that they're race baiting to make money. Somebody is.
Yeah. That's what I believe. It's like they're trying to turn this into another Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
Another me movement. Camilo Anthony is worth more than Metcalf and Austin, and that's bad because we're falling back to 2020. But
exactly.
Like I told you off camera, if it was the other way around, Frisco, Dallas, it would be in shambles.
Yeah,
it would have been in shambles.
It would have been. And see, the thing is, though, I don't want to jump into the conclusion that somebody is doing this, but the other alternative is that the parents orchestrated this. Then that makes them evil. And I would hate to think that they're that evil, you know? So then that means somebody is counseling them. And it almost seems like it was that lawyer by what the nasty words he said that him showing up there is a dishonor to his son. That is nasty, bro. How do you say that? He lost his son.
Yeah, he's still grieving.
Yes. Dude. Why would you say that? He knew he was saying something bad. The moment he said, "This is from me, don't quote me," you know, or don't quote anybody, you know, like, dude, you knew what you were about to say was going to be evil. So, like, that lets me know that he probably told the parents, "Hey, we got to get this guy out of here because it's going to hurt our case." Mm-hmm. That's pure evilness because that wouldn't have hurt the case. They could have actually use this moment to actually and I get it, the hatred would still be around, but it would have people like me or people that are actually like listening and feeling that we would feel some type of remorse and sympathy for Carmelo's parents because it's like, oh my God, those are good parents. Look, they're feeling bad, right?
Yeah, they lost their chance.
Now the mom did apologize, but from that fiasco that lawyer pulled, now it looks like crocodile tears. Now I don't even want to hear her.
Yeah, because they didn't pan out the way that they thought they would be. They thought they would get more good publicity.
Yeah,
and they got a huge backlash. And now they try to walk it back, and it's too late. It's already done.
Yeah, it's
they lost their chance. I mean, it is like.
And now everything they say is just out the. I'm telling you, if they would have allowed the mom to apologize in looking at the father's victim's eyes,
they would hug each other.
Oh,
it would be just like
the temperature would have dropped.
Yeah, it would be, and let him sit there. He wasn't disrupting nobody anyway. Just let him be, and just do your press conference, and then you move out.
But and it's
who idea was that? If it was the lawyer, I would have fired him.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's a good lawyer.
If it was the lawyer, I would have fired him.
And the problem is that maybe he's a good lawyer in the sense that he's stirring up so much chaos to where it's manipulating. Well, back to what we were talking about, manipulating to where now it's gonna guilt the jury and the judge to give him a soft, or the district attorney to give him a soft charge, right? Which, honestly, I know he's a kid, but he is a young adult. He knows better. He needs to get consequences. And what he's going through, he's not really getting the damage right now. And this is coming from someone that has been in the situation that I also, and this is what I was talking to my wife about. We as parents need, whether you're black, whether you're Mexican, Puerto Rican, white, Asian, whatever you are, we need to instill and teach. There's a difference between me saying like, hey, don't do this because of this. That's not teaching. Teaching is actually sitting down on your dinner table and teaching them the worth of life. You know, like, you know, hey, the way you love daddy, the way I love you, someone else loves their kids the same. That's their little one, you know, whatever nickname, you know. I have one that I call Bum Buns, right? So that's my Bum Buns. So I tell her, like, now the neighbor, you know, or whoever, that's their Bum Buns. So, like, you know, don't bully that, because that's, how would you feel if someone bullied you? Or, you know, you teach them, you got to teach them the worth of life. And I've noticed that in the hip hop community, because I also grew up in that, you know, we want to be, you know, these tough gangster things. And, you know, oh, you know, the more trauma that you've gone through, the harder you are, and the more, you know, and it's like, dude, no, that's so idiotic. You know, now as we get older, we realize that that's all a phase. It goes away. And some people, even like, look at all your rappers, right? They were all gangster and all this. They've reached success, made money, made their families. They're living good. They ain't doing the same thing.
They conservative now.
Yeah, they're over there.
Their values are conservative. I don't know what they both.
But their values are conservative.
Yeah.
They're not letting their kids run around what they were doing when they were young. Why? Because they understand that, hey, you know what? That's not I'm enjoying life. I have something to live for. I have more to lose now. And honestly, we all have more to lose. If you feel like you don't got nothing to lose, that's a lie from the devil. We all have something to lose. Life is precious. And I think we all need to learn from this, that this situation is not a racial thing. It's just a terrible, terrible tragedy. And it does stem on the parents. Because, and, you know, as a parent myself, if my kid did something, I failed that child somehow, you know, if that's the case. Now, there is redemption. It's never too late, you know, but yeah, that it's sad and it's unfortunate. And I think this moment with what happened today in that press conference, they could have turned that around, and it could have been a heartwarming part that everyone needs right now. Because believe it or not, you know, if y'all want to bring up race, I'm not white, and I felt angered for that guy. I'm not black, but I felt really sad for the family, because that's their baby, man. That's their child. That did something horrific, or might have did something horrific, right? Because, you know, you're innocent until proven guilty, right? But so it's like, man, how do we get so far to where we don't care about life? And honestly, it stems back, tie it back into the Bible. It's because we're reverting back to the non-biblical. That's why there's a big push to push people away from the Bible. If you notice, the enemy is the devil, and he doesn't make you sin. Your body makes you sin. You know, the Apostle Paul on Romans talks about in chapter 11, where he says that my body wants to do what is not what I shouldn't do, and you know, my members of my body wants to do things that I shouldn't do, and he finds himself realizing that it's us that wants to sin. That's why, again, I tie it back to what we were saying in the beginning. We are by nature evil, so we need redemption, all of us. That's why those preachers back in the day would say, repent, because everybody needs to repent. And the moment you acknowledge that, the moment things realize, like, hey, You know, that pastor's not holier than I am. He's a sinner too, as much as I am, you know? And I back to this whole thing is that, how I know God is more true and, you know, one, because of the Holy Spirit, but the other thing that, if you don't want to believe in all that, but the other thing that you know that God is true is because if you notice, no other religion gets attacked more than Christianity. No one's attacking Muhammad. No one's talking bad about Buddhist. Like, there's not like a big mainstream media where they're just bashing. Like, look at the Olympics, right? Remember the Olympics?
Oh, yeah.
What did they did? The mockery of the Last Supper, right?
Yeah.
They don't do a mockery of Muhammad.
No.
Right? They don't do a mockery of. In fact, if me saying this right now is probably there, you know, I'm gonna get like, you know, massacred, you know. But you know, Christianity is only the one that is being attacked.
Yeah.
Well, back to my point is this. So we're removing God out of the equation, and we're moving the 10 Commandments out of the equation. So then, guess what happens? We're reverting back to the laws of nature, and the laws of nature. I mean, look what animals do, you know?
Yeah.
The weak ones are always ones that get hurt or die or, you know, and we don't want to live like that. That's not a way to live. We consider ourselves to be civilized, you know? But it's a tragedy.
We came far enough to be civilized, and then they like you were saying, like they trying to turn us back to like lawlessness. And
Exactly.
and I don't like it. That's why I'm a firm believer of family, stay together and instill value to my kids. And I tell them, like, hey, you probably see my kids, they quiet, they
Very respectful.
very respectful. And what I'm trying to teach is like, damn, like what would it do if somebody not treated them the same way they treat others? You know what I mean? And I feel bad when I think about it, and I'm overprotective for my daughters. You know what I mean? My kids. And I consider myself overprotective because I know how crazy it is out there.
It is crazy.
It is nuts.
I mean, look, this right now that we're talking about, Carmelo and Metcalf, is a tragedy, dude.
It is.
But then now we're talking about a shooting that happened yesterday, and one that happened what?
Yep, a few hours ago. Let me put my. It happened in Leon County. A 20-year-old son of the Leon County chief deputy used his mother gun to go on shooting rampage on the Florida State University. That happened a few hours ago. And it's still, still evolving. We're still getting more information, but the count was 2 unalive, 6 wounded.
Oh my gosh!
And it happened today, a few hours ago, and Thursday the 17th.
People, it's easy to people always revert to blaming the most simplest thing. No one wants to take accountability of the hardest thing. For example, I get it. There's some bad apples out there. Sometimes you're born, there's defectiveness in physically, some are born defective. Some might be defective in mentally, whatever. I get it. But a lot of them are not defective, right? A lot of them are caused by how we bring up our children. And again, that just falls again. If we teach our kids the value of life, like the importance of just being alive, and as a parent, there's no instructions and it's hard, I mean, but no, not one kid is the same. They're all different, and they all learn differently. And sometimes we feel like the ones that are smarter, I guess you could say, like the ones that are more like they listen to you and whatnot, we tend to neglect those more. And, and you shouldn't neglect none of them. You should delegate time individually for each. Like, for example, this is one thing I love about my wife. She's so, and
besides she's always right.
Yeah. Besides that, she's always right. Right. Yeah. And I still don't listen to her till this day. But then it's always like, I told you so. A big tall glass of I told you so. But one thing I love about her is that she is a wonderful mother. What she does, and now we adapted, and I learned this from her. And so she'll have a mommy day each one. So like 1 week she'll be like, it's just Liana, and it's just like, they spend their bonding, they go out to get ice cream, spend a day, talk to them. And then the next week is the Felicity, and then the next week is Everly, and then she has this one-on-one relationship with each one, and they all know that their mom loves them equally, and there's the difference between them. And then, as a father, I have to also be in part of this too. So I do that the same. I will go have my daddy day with them, and it's crazy how much that made a difference in my children. If you ever meet them, you'll say the same thing. Oh my gosh, they're very respectful and this and that. And of course, they have their imperfections too. One thing that I've got to learn as a parent is how to instill ambition. Because I want them to be hungry, go-getters, and the oldest one, I felt like maybe she was being too, but now I'm seeing her. She's already plotting to make her own bakery and making cookies and stuff, her own business, and she's a go-getter. So I'm like, okay, good. But back to the point is, as a parent, we need to do that to, and that might work for us. That doesn't mean it works for everybody, but you can make your own thing, and each child needs to have his own, and I believe his own connection with their parents, because a lot of us, we get tired from home, from work, and we let the school district raise our kids.
Facts.
And all they're there to do is teach them 1 + 1.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. With my daughters here at the house, we kind of do the same thing. Mostly, we get them out of the house. We get dinner. At least on the weekends, we eat together. During the week, my wife works, whatever. But now my kids wait for my wife to get home. And I just text them, hey, your mom's here. And they all come down to eat. That's our time that we put the phones away, and they talk to their mom, whatever. Because she arrived late, so they have a few hours before they go to sleep, whatever. And we do that a lot. And I take my daughters to get boba drinks. They love boba, so we have a special place near here. So we just like Sunday, boba Sunday. So they know every Sunday we're about to get a drink, and we all go together and we all get a drink, and we talk in the car back and forward, and they share their experience during the week, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's very good.
That's a good thing, and every kid, like you were saying, is different. So sometimes I take my stepson, and we just like, hey, you want to go to the movie? It's like, hey, what? And he's like, what we watch? It's like, hey, this is a few movies that you came out. If you want to see one, we go, and we he's a boy, he's 18, and we just go together.
Yeah,
nobody else, and we just shoot the shit. We get popcorn, or we eat a burger, and then we go watch the movie, and that's good bonding. Yeah,
and then you find out what he's into, what he likes.
He talked to me about his games and his workout at the gym or whatever, and I'm like, that's good, because now in hindsight, looking for 40,000 bird's eye view, I see him like consulting me for stuff. He said, hey, Julio, hey, what do you think about this? What should I do? And I gave him my opinion, how I deal with it. And he just like, all right, thank you. And then he made his own decision, but he got my point of view.
Yeah, but he's using your advice, as a way of counsel,
Yeah, he do a lot of stuff with his mom too. He get counsel with his mom and myself, and that's a good thing.
And see, that gives me hope, man. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. That there's someone else or and honestly, I have seen that a lot of people are doing this, which I just hope, and this is what I love about what you got going on here. You're allowing people to have this dialogue, and even though it's just everyone needs this positive messaging, and your what you're doing with your kids, I hope it helps someone, that says, you know what, maybe I should try this out.
Yeah.
I mean, they're your kids. Why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no one else cares about them as much as you do, and that's how I tell my kids. Like, I do everything for you guys. I used to do everything just for me, and that's why I honestly, and this is for all you single people out there that don't have kids and say, I'd never want kids, but actually kids make you a better person. Because I was a selfish SOB before my kids. Now when I have kids, I think of others, and I no longer think of myself. Trust me, if I did, I make decent money. I would have had my dark horse Mustang already. I would have a lot of things. But honestly, I'd much rather them have everything that they want first. And but not spoil them, of course. But what I'm trying to say is give them a good chance in life. Like, have them, have a good mom and dad. Guess what? That's me. I'm a dad. So I need to be, and even then I use this philosophy for work. So whatever I do, even doing this, I'm trying to put passion into it because I want them to be like, that's my daddy. That's my hero. So same thing with work. I give my 110%. And people might say, oh, you're kissing ass to the, company or the boss.
Yeah.
But no, I'm doing it because I'm their hero. I'm their dad. If I die right now, I want them to say, yeah, that was my dad. I want people to say, yeah, Robert, he was a short, fat little dude, but he was a good guy with a good heart. He did this, and that's how I want to live my life, because for them,
it's about your legacy, leaving a good legacy. Yeah.
For them, so I don't want them to be embarrassed of their hero, and at the same time, I also don't let anybody disrespect their hero either, You know what I'm saying? So like, if somebody would just, hey, I'll stop it down. You don't, again, people got to learn that too, that you can also defend yourself without actually using violence.
Yeah.
You just got to use that authority to say, hey, whoa, you're not going to talk to me like that. No, you're not going to disrespect me. And when I do that, it's more because, again, I look at it, I'm their hero. I'm just going to let their hero get bullied around. I'm sorry. And I honestly think that if we all looked at our children like that, like there are responsibilities, we have to teach them that. And I get it. It's hard, because you come from work, you're tired, man. You just want to have a moment for yourself. But there is a way. I mean, it's hard work. And back to pointing it to what I'm saying to this is the same thing with Carmelo's parents. Something that they did allowed his son to make that mistake. And one is the fact that he just took it lightly with doing that, with that action of stabbing that poor child. He didn't actually value, because if he would have valued something like your life, it's like this, right? I value this, so I don't look, I'm right. For everyone know this, there's no case here. So like I live on the edge right now with this not having case. I could drop it, whatever, right? But a lot of us, we value it so much that what do? We put a case. Well, if you teach your kids the same thing, a life, you value it, regardless if they're treating you bad, you're not gonna hurt it because it's a value, right? Mm-hmm. So, and that's why, that's not why I don't have a case for the phone, because I don't value this, but it's just material stuff. But back to that, you just gotta, that's it. I honestly think that at that moment, and maybe he was under the influence. That's the other thing too, right? That maybe I was young around that age, and I used to do drugs. Maybe he was under the influence. Yeah. Who knows what?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, it's just, we are speculating, and it's weird. He could be brainwashed.
Yeah, that too.
You know, what I mean, he could be brainwashed and have a little, his own mentality, his own way to see life different. You know, what I mean, who knows what's going through his head? But in my to close this, we in our household we just teach our sons and daughters consequences.
Yeah.
Like I told my son, like everything you do have a consequence.
Everything
Everything you do.
has a cause and
And,
effect.
and I tell my showing people like, hey, if you use drugs or if you drink alcohol and you get caught, this is what will happen. And he knows, he knows. Like everything you do, think about it. If you think about it twice, you know it has consequences. If you unalive someone, it has consequences. Whether you're right or wrong, it has
Has
consequences.
consequences. Yeah.
You have to live with it.
And-
And people need to understand, like, we're gonna see Carmelo's and Austin Metcalf deal at court, and a lot of stuff would come out that people don't know about. The video is a video
exactly.
circulating, and they pull the video out, and they have the video as evidence, whatever. Everything will come out, but everything has consequences.
Everything.
Everything, and I teach my kids, like, if you drop a glass of water, it has consequences.
Yeah.
You
The
have to.
glass might break.
It might break. You have to clean it up. You might get hurt. You might get cut. But it
Yeah,
has
like
consequences.
we'll forgive you that that it happened.
Yeah,
It's an accident.
It's an accident.
But you still got to clean it.
It's a consequence.
Yeah.
You not just walk away and let somebody else clean up because you're teaching them wrong.
Yep.
And that's what I tell my kids. Like, if you get off the table, clean up after yourself. Because I'm not doing it. You're not in a 5-star hotel. You know what I mean? I'm not your maid or your butler.
Yeah.
No, you got to do your own stuff.
We're not Donald Trump over here where we can
No.
pay butlers. Nigel, clean this up.
You just step up and let somebody else clean and do that. We don't have that. So that's our good values, and teaching your kids consequences for their actions, and whether good or bad.
And that's what we need.
It
that
is-
type of teaching.
Yeah, we need that. Yeah,
Our
we
kids.
appreciate. All right, Robert. Hey, thank you
Hey,
for coming, brother.
And sorry for changing the topics to many things.
Man,
but
doesn't matter, man. I always love your insights. That's why I brought you back, and I hope we could do this at least once a month.
But I will say, everybody, please do the whole AI. Look that up. The Ark of the Covenant and the pyramids.
And the pyramids. It's crazy. It's a rabbit hole on itself. I mean, we could be talking about hours.
Yeah.
On that subject. All right, guys. Hey, thank you for subscribing. Please, if you get something out of it, and do me a favor, like, comment, and share this content. And I hope I see you on the next video. Take care. God bless you. Goodbye.